Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Wild Beyond the Witchlight, the brand new, amazing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure, and Appendix B, the factions, and we're talking about League of Malevolence, and we're specifically going to talk today about Zorgash. Alright, so who is Zorgash? Zorgash is a member, not the leader of League of Malevolence. He is chaotic evil, human cleric, okay? And he worships Orcus. Orcus is the prince of the undead. He is a huge fiend demon, right? And Orcus don't play. Like, actually, if you haven't been noticing, Orcus is coming up as the #1 main villain of Dungeons & Dragons that is not a dragon, right? And he shows up in a lot of adventures. And I think, Dungeons & Dragons is starting to understand they really need to get some traction on getting recognizable heroes and villains. And Orcus is, very real and getting a lot of play. So let's talk about Zorgash real quick. So what's up with Zorgash? Zorgash is in the Saturday morning cartoon. Zorgash is in the XL1 Quest for the Heartstone 1984 AD&D module. Zorgash is not an action figure, right? So he has every single aspect that should make him an LGN 1984 Dungeons & Dragons official Advanced Dungeons & Dragons action figure, but he didn't make the cut. There is never a Zorgash figure made, okay? And that's a mystery. So I do not know why Zorgash is included in the League of Malevolence and is included in all these places where the action figures are, but he's not an action figure, right? So just be aware, Zorgash is one of the few people who's listed with the League of Malevolence that is not, and actually, you know what? I know for a fact, he's the only League of Malevolence member who did not make the cut and is not actually a 1984 LJN action figure, right? Also, I got a comment the other day, like, these are just some cheap action figures. No, like, these are a part of American history, like, and they're not cheap at all. They're like $250 and more on the card, and if you get the League of Malevolence, you are well over $1,000 spent. They're not cheap in any perspective, right? And I think a lot of people are very dismissive of the action figures when they were around to begin with. But the reality is, if you're into action figures and you're like, I like the more articulated stuff, this stuff don't happen if we didn't have these in the 80s. Like, these are cornerstones of American 1980s merch. And Dungeons & Dragons is right there. They're right part of the Transformer history and the Thunder Barbarian history and the Thundercats history. Like, this isn't a small thing. This is an entire industry. And now there's a nostalgia industry around it. These aren't just cheap pieces of plastic. These are Americana. Right? I don't just celebrate junk, and these are not junk. Like, they are they've truly changed merchandising. There were laws made by Congress because of these, these toys and the merchandise. This is part of our American history. So that's kind of what I'm calling you to, all right? Or to understand, right? So that's my take. All right, let's stay on Zorgash. So Zorgash fights with warhammers. One of the best things I love about, reading these 5th edition non-player characters is just how simple they are. They're just each a simple page. They're all drawn in the same style. They're quite beautiful. I love them, right? And you can just take a picture and, and print out, that page, and you got what you need for that, that evening. They're really quite cool. One last thing about Zorgash that I thought was real, that I just absolutely loved, is Zorgash got goals, like hashtag squad goals, right? Like, he is like, I'm in the League Malevolence, and the reason why is I want to do, really dope things for Orcus. And the reason why is when I die, right, when I come to the point of death, Orcus is going to come, and he's going to make me a vampire, right? And then I'm going to live forever, right? And I just, I love this idea that, Zorgash, I got goals. I'm going to live forever, man. And then you're like, wow, I think a lot of times we look at Dungeons & Dragons and we're like, these are just kind of simple stories. Actually, living forever is a big goal, right? And one of the things I think is, we think about vampires, but we forget these guys are they can give eternal life. Yeah, you got to suck blood, but Zorgash is like, suck blood. I have a blood smoothie for breakfast. It's not a problem. Like, yeah, I really, really just absolutely love Zorgash. He's like, and again, he's just super evil. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm just helping the League of Malevolence, doing my bit to make sure that the world is thrown upside down and burns, and there's lots of death for Orcus, because I really love Orcus, and Orcus going to do me right, turn me into a vampire, and I'm going to live forever. Like, Zorgash is legit just a fantastic villain, right? So, and I'm just balling out loving this because, I'm the age that a lot of grognards are. And I'm just so sad to see a lot of grognards just checked out of the current game. And I'm also just thrilled that Wizards of the Coast is proving these grognards wrong. The grognards are like, they won't listen to me. They're listening! You got the most non-woke supervillains all up in the game now. They're literally celebrating, Quest for the Heartstone and the 80s cartoon. And it's all there. It's real. And the idea that Wizards of the Coast is not listening to all members of the society. A lot of grognards are like, they're not listening to me. No. You grognards are turning your back on what is real Dungeons & Dragons. And real Dungeons & Dragons is not AD&D. It's not BX. It's not 1E. It's not 2E. It's not 3E. It's not 4E. Real Dungeons & Dragons is happening now, right? And Wild Beyond the Witchlight puts lies into your mouth. They are listening, right? And they are, and Wizards of the Coast is responsive. And so if you are a grognard, right, out there playing these crusty old versions, right, I'm calling you to the game, right? And a lot of grognards are like, well, when I go, they don't play the way I like to play. Be the change you want, right? When people are going to come to 5e, make sure you're there to run exactly the kind of table you want to see in Dungeons & Dragons. And Chris Perkins is saying, we do care, and we do want to, not everything is a wizard prom tower, right? Like, there are cool aspects of this game. So I'm really encouraging you to step up, do the right thing, get back in the game for the sake of Zorgash. Oh, that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.